Hey everybody, welcome to another Breaking Balls. I'm Jose Taboada, Norbs Cabrera to my right via video screen because you're hearing this on audio, so well you can't tell if he's on my right. But anyways, it is beautiful faces for radio. We're here today with another Breaking Balls, and of course, he's talking about like the hottest topics, or at least like what we found to be to have like the bigger conversations in the world of MLB as the last 2 weeks have I picked up the season now well underway, a month in, and I guess some pretty good baseball so far. Nord.
Very exciting. This month of April, the first month of the season, has been rather entertaining and also devastating at the same time. And yeah, we'll explain to you how's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a entertaining month of Major League Baseball so far, and we're only into April. And I mean, this is just a recap of basically the month. Yeah, and May is here. Plenty more action to come, and yeah, definitely.
So let's just take a quick recap of like what's going on around the league because we're doing this frequently. So if you are tuning in at any time, like, or if you're listening way after this all breakdown, it's nice to know like where like the league was at since recording. So in the AL East, Boston leads it, Toronto behind 1.5 games. In the AL Central, the Royals continuing to take a stronghold in these, not a big stronghold in the AL Central, but they're leading the way with the White Sox behind them, a game and a half behind. In the West, it is a tighter race there as Oakland leads the way after an incredible winning streak that they had a couple weeks back. I think it was 12, 13 games in total. It was.
I believe it was 13 games.
13 games, yeah, just incredible run. Reminded you of those 2002 Athletics that went to a 20 had a 22 game winning streak there. But I mean, they were eliminated in the playoffs that year. So we'll see what happens to the A's this year. And of course, Seattle trails them by a game. The Astros not far behind with a game and a half. In the National League, the Mets and the Nationals are tied for first in the NL Central, in the NL East, which is interesting because a lot of people were claiming that the Mets were underwhelming right now, at least at the start of the season. So that's what's going on there. And of course, the Phillies. Just a game behind them. In the National League Central, Milwaukee leads the way with the Cardinals a game behind. And then in the NL West, and again, I'm very surprising because I don't think that I would have said this, but the Giants are leading the way in the National League West. The Dodgers are are only a half a game behind them. But don't forget that the Dodgers, I think, were on a bit of a losing streak there. They're 3 for 7 in their last 10 games. It has not been pretty for the Dodgers a month in. And of course, obviously everybody's going to say, but hey, they're the Dodgers, they're the World Series champions. This is what it feels like to play a full 162. There's still a lot more baseball to go. So before you get excited, Norb, there's still a lot more baseball to come.
Well, thanks for the reminder there, my friend. Yes, indeed.
And of course, the Padres just a game and a half behind the leading Giants there. But yeah, our two topics today. We going around, and of course, again, I remind everybody of my Blue Jays bias because I love those Blue Jays over there as they're currently playing right now. As I just saw Matt Olson get to the plate. Okay, they're losing 1-0. What a beautiful start to this episode. I wanted to talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And rightfully so, because the kid is a completely different guy in 2021, a month in. And like just before I go to run down the stats, like just quick thoughts, or like what are your impressions of Vlad just a month in before I go into the analytics of how good he's been?
Definitely Vlad Guerrero. He's really taken a different approach this season, actually. During the off season, he's been training. He's changed his eating habits, and his training regimen has been unbelievable, and it's really showing right now in the season. With the Jays still pretty shaky, and then in the starting rotation, the offense has been picking it up. Definitely, Vlad Guerrero is the anchor right now in the Blue Jays lineup, and it just goes to show like his transformation and to an athlete that people have expected, and to him to come out as advertised, it's been amazing so far. It's entertaining for the Blue Jays, and a lot of baseball people love watching the Blue Jays, and Definitely, Vlad Guerrero is entertaining as of right now. Yeah, I mean, he had a 7 RBI game the other day against the Washington Nationals, and
Crazy game.
he really picked on Max Scherzer of all people, an elite pitcher and a World Series champion himself, and a former Cy Young Award winner. It just goes to show you how Vlad's perspective in the plate has really transformed. It has flourished, and it has improved. Over his career. And I mean, the rest of the Blue Jays are also picking it up nicely with Kevin Biggio and Bo Bichette uh, leading the way for the Jays offensively. I mean, like the pitching has been really questionable at times. With lots of bullpen work. In certain games.
Bullpen work that has been saving them. That has definitely they're
Yes,
definitely like,
definitely.
if we had to pick like a reason why the Jays are over 500 right now, it's because of the bullpen. They're surprisingly shutting them down. And of course,
Yeah.
when you hear the word bullpen game, you normally get freaked out because it's a bullpen. And not just the Jays.
Yeah.
That's any team. You're like, oh god.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the Jays, you brought it up. The Jays don't have a starter. Don't have like a full proper rotation. But the fact that I think Blue Jays fans can look forward to a bullpen game, as I mean, I don't know how much, as they didn't take a poll on it, but the fact that they can rely on the pen and they can get them out of those situations for the most part in a general perspective, and can reduce reduce the hits or reduce like the runs coming into score. It's successful, and they're really saving his team right now. Because I mean, like I mean, pitching as a whole, I knew the Blue Jays were going to struggle going into the season. But if you told me at the start of the season that the bullpen was going to be a bigger talking point, I would laugh in your face and say there's no way, because it's the pitching, right? And there's a lot of injuries, which we're going to get to later on. But in terms of Vlad, I actually did like some splits here. I was looking up at some splits here. It's been 26 games now, excluding the one that's going on right now in Oakland. 26 games already that Vlad has played in 2021, and I compared it to his first 26 games in 2020. I know coming off of the pandemic and coming off the break, it's hard to say, but you're still expected to put in an effort. Through 26 games in 2020, a batting average of 245. On base percentage of 321, slugging 429, and an OPS of 750. And it's not ideal. And then when it comes to like just like the offense in terms of like the actual hitting, 24 hits, 4 RBIs, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, 10 walks, and 17 strikeouts. And then as he's progressed on first base in the first 26 games that he played at first base, because he didn't play the proper first 26 games of the season. I mean, like in the 60-game season, 2 errors. So, fielding is fielding. There's not too much to comment on the fielding, because obviously Vladdy wasn't wanted to be known as this, or people want to know Vladdy as this big hitter like his father. Then there's 2021 through 26 games, 337 batting average, 426 on base percentage, 628 slugging, and a 1.114 OPS. Those already significantly improved. He's finding the ball better. He's connecting. He's hitting harder. He is definitely hitting harder. As right now his average velocity is I lied. It's a little bit smaller, but again, due to a smaller sample size, 160 miles an hour that exit velocity is going off the balls. He's hitting the ball hard, regardless. He's still hitting the ball very, very hard, and you can see it in his hits. 29 hits, 7 of those are home runs. Already a significant increase from 2020. 20 RBIs compared to the 7 that he hit in 2020. That's already a statement on its own. He 22 walks. Nobody wants nobody wants him to see outfield grass, and the strikeouts are higher, and no errors at first base. But it's working. It's clicking. Like you said, his training regimen, as you said, was crucial for him, the eating habits and all that. But again, it's just the fact that he's seeing the ball better, and he's cashing in his runs. He's taking advantage of hitters in scoring position. And of course, I mean, yes, you had the big 3-run home run game, the 3 home run game against the Nationals the week before we recorded this, which was amazing to watch. But again, seeing the ball better, continue to hit the ball harder, and he's just taking advantage of those situations where he knows he needs to bring in the runs, and they've helped out. And again, like it's a big contributor, and you obviously can call him the Jays' April MVP without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, you would wish that his third baseman and his shortstop stop making him stretch as if he was an Olympic gymnast, because every time I see him stretch at first base, it just concerns me. It's so scary. Like Bichette has been impatient in getting the ball to Bichette has been impatient in getting the ball to Guerrero. Biggio looks like he's just struggling with his arm strength as well, and anybody that touches third base from what it seems to just struggling a little bit there. So it's like you really need to be careful, because with the Blue Jays there are way too many injuries right now, and I think that's a good transition as to our next talking with Aaron Norb, because we were looking for a second topic, and then of course you brought it up on our Instagram page at Fairfowl at Fairfowl 2020 on Instagram, and the injuries are just. I didn't realize how many injuries there were until I decided to break down at least one portion of injuries, and it's scary. It's really scary, Norb. If you want to start out the discussion on your thoughts on this injury situation that the MLB is having.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of weeks especially, I've seen so much injury reports. I mean, like some of them are serious, some of them are freak injuries. I believe the Oakland A's pitcher, what's his name, Jonathan Lizardo. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he apparently injured himself while playing a video game. Of all things,
I'm just saying, there was a time when I haven't played Call of Duty in the last little bit. We're going to presume that's the game he's been playing. It can get you frustrated. It is frustrating, and when you slam,
it sure is. Yeah,
it reminds me of the Trevor Bauer drone injury from 2016.
My
and the bloody
gosh,
finger.
yes.
It happens, but you may continue.
Yeah, I mean, the injuries I feel is on the rise right now, and it's only the first month of the season. Like something's telling me that, the players go through spring training. I get it. I mean, they train and they just stick to the game plan. But in terms of being disciplined enough to stay healthy and really going hard each and every game, it makes you wonder. I mean. I'm not really comparing hockey players to baseball players here, because
you can't.
Hockey players are supernaturally beasts out there on the ice, but in baseball it's a different phenomenon. I mean, like you're running on the field, you're hitting, you're injuring your obliques and your shoulders and your calf muscles. I mean, like it just sometimes it just it's really weird, like how certain players go through freakish injuries, especially tweaking a calf or like a kneecap or whatnot, and you're off to the DL for 10 days at minimum, and sometimes 60 days. I mean, especially early in the season, like you expect for your team to jump ahead of everybody and to possibly lead away in the standings. I mean, I don't know if some of the players are taking a breather during this earlier on, and then like all of a sudden they're gonna have to pick it up at the second half of the season. I mean, like who knows, right? I mean, injuries happen at any point of the season, and unfortunately, there's been so much in the first month of the season. I mean, Dustin May is gonna undergo Tommy John surgery. We just heard the news today. It's very unfortunate. I mean, devastating injuries like that. It's crushing for a team, especially when that team relies on you as one of your key starters and key players. I mean, the Dodgers went on a slump, and with the injury to Dustin May, it just changes everything. Plans change. I mean, David Price and Tom Gonsolin, they are also injured. So and there's nobody to fill in for Dustin May at this point in time. So it just makes you wonder, what's going to be the how the season's going to be like now for for teams like the Dodgers and Alejandro Kirk also injured himself in with the Blue Jays. So it's really frustrating at the same time. You know what I mean? I mean, injuries are part of the game, but you don't want those players to be injured for very long. You expect them back at a certain time because it's the season. It's a grind, and in this day and age, that you just have to play hard each and every day.
I mean, yeah, for Alejandro Kirk, I mean, we found out today that originally, the way that he practices running in the last game, and then, he thought maybe he was going to be okay, and it could have been just a simple 10-day DL, saying he's going to be out for 6 weeks, and you're going, good Lord, that's not fun. I was actually doing like a breakdown just before we started recording because I was just curious as to how many injuries there are, or just in general, like just how, like what are we looking at here? There are in total 195 players on the injury list right now in some shape or form. Out of those 195 players, surprisingly, given, like, of course, one of your first instincts is how many of them are COVID because of the pandemic. Only 3 of the 195 are with COVID. So it is either something there's something wrong with their body part, or it's a pull or whatever, or Tommy John out. So there's only 3, which means that clearly they're, at least from that perspective, they've been for the most part generally safe. Or it's a small stint and then they're right back at it, depending on the severity of the virus. Now, out of those 195 players, 134 of them are pitchers. And that is extremely concerning. 60 of them are batters. And then when it comes to specifically what are we looking at, after doing the math, about 67-ish of those injuries are on the 60-day DL, and then the rest on the 10-day. I may have done my math wrong here when I was like writing it all down, but it is a total of 134. It's about almost 50-50 on the 10 and the 61, and of course there's the exception of May, who is out for the season out with Tommy John. Within those injuries, and this I didn't take a proper account now, most of them are unfortunately Tommy John issues or just elbow issues as a whole, which again is a little scary because I know today's pitchers in today's day and age is all about throwing that heater, getting those strong pitches in and striking them out. Because I mean, look at guys like Chapman who are so effective as a closer, throwing 100 miles an hour, right? It's ridiculous. And he also went through an injury as well. And then of course, another example, at least locally with the Blue Jays, Nate Pearson, who just throws heat. He was also placed on the injury list immediately. He started in his stint in AAA. So when it comes to all that, actually, one point I wanted to make, and I actually want to show you. I'm going to show Nord here again. We have faces for radio. This is one thing I want to show you. It's from Will Middlebrooks on Twitter, who says, "I just don't think arms can be built to throw 100 with movement and consistently be healthy. There has been way too much emphasis put on being able to max out your velocity. I don't blame the players for doing what organizations want, but it sucks to keep seeing guys blown out." And so the question there, Norb, is, do we want to keep seeing 100 miles an hour? Because it's a great number to see. I mean, I think I remember seeing, I believe, a Reds pitcher, forgot his name, throwing 112, and you're going, whoo, that is fast. That's like Formula One car fast. That is quick as hell. So the question is, do you want to keep seeing those hard throws? Or do you appreciate more the mix and the change of velocities within your pitches to get your outs? Because I mean, don't get me wrong. For me, I can't even hit 40 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour in a batting cage. Imagine 100. So, what are your thoughts on that tweet from Will Middlebrooks?
I mean, for if I was a pitcher, as I mentioned before, like you would love to see players throw gas like 90 to 95% of the time, and that I mean that's absolutely fine. That you're a really good hard throwing pitcher, especially when you're young and you're excited to play in the majors and show your stuff, but at the same time you have to have the discipline to just be cognizant of your velocity, because if you're throwing fastballs like 95% of the time in each and every game. Like it just makes you wonder. Like I want to save my arm. I want to save my arm for the next start. I want to save my arm for the next month. I mean these young players. I mean they're superstars. I know that. I get it. And we'd love to see them entertain us. Make no mistake about that. But in terms of like being disciplined enough to be consistent and to have longevity in this league, I mean, you got to instill that in your mind as a young pitcher. If you want to be an ace, if you want to be an all star, a Hall of Famer, learn from guys like Nolan Ryan. Learn from guys like Randy Johnson. Learn from guys like Roger Clemens or Jose Rijo of all people, or Doug Drabeck of the Pirates. Those guys like really balance their pitching and that mental focus. At the same time, being disciplined enough to pitch for a long time in the big leagues. I mean, Adam Wainwright has been pitching for over a decade with the Cardinals. I mean, he's had some injuries, but he's still with us today, alive and well as an active major league player, and he's teaching these young guys how to pitch. I mean, like those kinds of players, when you're young, I know you want to entertain, you want to throw gas each and every time. That's fabulous. Like you want to psych out your batters that you face, but it's the discipline part. It's the mental focus that that you gotta sit back and just ponder a little bit, especially when you're young, like Nate Pearson or Dustin May. Like you want to be at your very best, but at the same time you have to be fairly disciplined. Mix your pitches. That's to me it's very very important. Off speed. Throw like touch the corners with your pitches. But if you're just throwing gas down the pipe, painting the black all the time, I mean, you're you're really like wrecking your arm. Like your timeline as a major league player won't even last longer than Hall of Famers that we know today. So it's the discipline, it's the mental focus, and sometimes you just have to sit back and just ask yourself, like, how am I going to mix my pitches, and how am I going to balance out throwing fastballs with curveballs and sliders. I think that's the name of the game right now. What these young players have to learn.
And then you brought up a good point about the Hall of Famers. I mean, for example, Nolan Ryan, 8-time All-Star, 2-time ERA. He's a Hall of Famer. 27 years in the big leagues. 27. He started with the Mets in '66, and then wrapped up his career with the Rangers in '93. 27 years. That's really. We've seen batters last a long time, but I mean, for a pitcher, that's nuts. Randy Johnson, 22 years in the major. Those are just some smaller examples, and I agree with you. I mean, when I try to pretend that I'm like a big league pitcher with some buddies of mine, and I'm throwing like small little fastballs, because I know a fastball curve. Throwing small little fastballs on a playground, that hurts. Because you want to be as fast as you can, of course. You want to be like, hey, let me just see how fast I can go. And then you do like a little, pull out your phone for like a little, like a bootleg little pitch, like speed gun, or radar gun. Radar gun. Here, let's see how fast I'm throwing 22 miles. Oh, nothing. So it's like, it's obviously, yes, it is like you want to throw fast, but you're right. You need to mix your pitches. You need to really find those zones, paint the corners, like you said. And I 100% agree with you. And honestly, aside from like speed, I just think that's what I appreciate more. Like if there's like a curveball that's like pissing pitchers off, or there's like batters up and there's sliders that just driving you nuts. Of course, you're going to appreciate that because you're getting them to work. You're really working the zone here. And I just think that's just so important. And I mean, obviously we're going to see how the rest of the season plays out, but obviously it's a concern. And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, you're not going to tell people, hey, can you please stop throwing gas because we want to see the gas, right? I mean, I'm sure when Nate Pearson comes back, everybody's going to say, okay, let me see the kid hit 100. But I'd appreciate a mid-90s if you're able to find a way to control, like if you were able to find a way to mix like those off speeds, and just get the plate and get the plate working. Um, but I really think you hit the nail on the head there. And I mean, I like I said, I would prefer to see more more mixing there. But I think that is where we're going to put a bow on it. Thank you, Norb, as always. And of course, I mean, if there's any, but if I mean, I think it's just fair to say if anybody has any topics that you want us to talk about, or if we want us to research and get down to the bottom of it, you know, like I mean, Norb controls the Instagram. I mean, you can gladly DM him and whatnot. And I think it's just a good way just to help us, you know, just dig deeper because unfortunately, I mean, you know, and it just goes with anything. It's just hard to cover everything. It can be tough to cover a lot because there's so much goes on, so much exciting, juicy stuff that goes on. But if you want us to talk about something, let us know, and we can research that. So I'm Jose Taboada, and we will see you guys very soon. Good night.
See you next time.